Book of Boba Fett, chapters 3 and 4.
And MCU shows got nothing on this. I'm just gonna
Oh yeah, no,
open the
let's
segment
let's be
like that.
honest here. I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. Star Wars Disney Plus show shits on Marvel Disney Plus shows any day. They're just better written, better choreography, better everything in my opinion. I just
But opening up with episode 3, there is a lot of controversy about this episode, and I think it's extremely unwarranted.
I know some
So,
people were complaining about the Tusken Raiders being killed.
which doesn't make sense to complain about from a story perspective,
In my opinion, it
because,
kind of was like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
like,
You think they were going to be like singing Kumbaya and like they were all going to live to the end?
like,
Have you not seen fiction?
like there are two warring factions in the middle of the desert. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah, one is very high tech and the other is very low tech. And this is very much an allegory for colonization. What did you think was going to happen?
Like, they just learned how to ride speeder bikes.
Yeah, this is.
Which moves on to the next point of controversy, which is even less warranted, is colorful speeder bike equal show bad.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the reference to British mod culture, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And we actually see in episode 4, they are called mods.
Yeah.
But it's really funny because
Which
they're mods for modification.
I think the hesitancy comes from like the introduction of like cyberpunk elements into Star Wars, which should not be new.
Yeah.
Like, people are looking and seeing new technology in Star Wars, which honestly makes a lot of sense if you think about it. But I don't see why people are so mad, because it makes sense for people like this who make modifications to themselves to have something a little different and mod it out compared to the rest of the speeder bikes that are shown in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
I will say, like, the fact that the mirrors look a little too similar to what we have on Earth, that kind of detracted me a bit. But that was my one little nitpick I got for this episode.
Yeah.
I think that if the mirrors looked a little different, maybe the controversy would have been a little lessened.
Yeah.
But most people are looking at colorful bikes equal bad.
Yeah. I honestly like the main thing that I've seen people complain about is that Boba is too nice. Which here's my problem is that, and this is explained further in episode 4. It's not that Boba is nice; it's that Boba is pragmatic.
Like, he's not trying to be a crime lord in the traditional sense.
Like he was like so here so
Because he's got a different approach to earning, like, loyalty in um
money.
in money. Yeah, like, he's trying to earn it through respect rather than fear.
Yeah. And like I don't think it's that he's too nice. I think it's that what do you do when you nearly died, admittedly for a very stupid reason, and also you lost everything.
And
Like his
also,
armor has been taken away, and you get kidnapped by the Tusken Raiders, and I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Massacre them and try, hope and pray you make yourself to whatever spaceport?
he's trying to build a faction. Like, he's pretty much starting from nothing. He needs allies.
Yeah.
With, whether it be from the new cyberpunk speeder biker gang, or it be from the Gamorrean guards,
Or Fennec Shand.
or Fennec, especially Fennec Shand.
Yeah. The other thing is also just that,
Like, even then, it's like, him being soft is addressed in the show.
yeah.
Like, of course he would go a little bit softer, like forming bonds with the Tusken Raiders, and Fennec Shand criticizes him for that constantly.
But we also see that it gives results.
It does get results in the show.
Exactly. The other thing that really interests, that like kind of weirds me out about this criticism is that it's not that like Boba is a good person. Like, you got to remember, this is not going to undo the fact that he was one of the most feared bounty hunters in the galaxy, frequently working for the Empire.
Like, everyone recognizes him. The biker kids recognize him in episode 3. Fennec Shand recognizes him in the flashback in episode 4. Like
everyone knows who Boba Fett
everyone
is.
knows the name of Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's just that he's now doing something different, which also kind of matches his EU because in the EU he becomes the Mandalore, the ruler of the Mandalorians. He after the sail barge disaster, he does do bounty hunter work, but he eventually settles down to lead his people like his father did. Because his father at one point was the Mandalore of Mandalore. It, it's spelled differently.
I'm sure it is.
So yeah, in the EU, Boba became the Mandalore, and so Boba becoming the head of a crime faction kind of follows in with that story arc. But I think it's easier for him to become the Mandalore in terms of the fact that Boba's already a very skilled warrior, someone that already had experience in leading people in the EU, because in the EU he frequently would lead stormtroopers in battles such as the Battle of Camino, where they killed off the new rebellious clones that came up in Battlefront 2, the original one, and in several comics where he would lead stormtroopers, while this Boba Fett doesn't have that experience. So building a crime family is really going to be based more off of his connections to the underworld and just kind of getting their respect and not just you follow me because I'm paid. You follow me because not only am I good at what I do, I'm also a good leader.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked was Black Chrysanthemum and how he attacked those Trandoshans, just because it's been historically known that Trandoshans and Wookiees do not get along because Trandoshans basically try to enslave them at every turn.
Was that in episode 3 or 4?
Episode 4.
Okay.
But just in Star Wars canon in general, Trandoshans frequently try to enslave Wookiees.
Okay.
And so
Yes.
Black Chrysanthemum would not like them.
Sorry, my head's still on episode 3 right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, I think we can, I will say one other thing that I really want to mention is that Boba Fett, ally of the proletariat.
Oh, my God.
Because, just for reference, in the plot, like, someone who runs the water,
The watermonger.
the water, yeah, God, why is that slipping me? The watermonger.
Yeah.
Is comes to Boba Fett saying, "No one respects you. These kids are stealing my water. Please fix this, and then you will have my loyalty." And so he goes out to them. He says, "No, this is all BS because he's overcharging me for water." And so pretty much, Boba Fett's like, "Cut your rates. We'll pay you for what they owe," and pretty much takes them in. So he's like, pretty much has no BS for any corporate leaders and allies with this on the side of the proletariat.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It is.
I mean, unexpected from Boba Fett, but I'll take it.
I don't
Especially
think
because
it was actually unexpected. I think it was very pragmatic.
I mean, it's in character. I just wasn't seeing it coming. Like, it's obviously an ally building tool is what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly as what the watermonger said. No one respects you. Well, how do you get people to respect you? You give them what they want and show them that you actually will do them. You will give them what they need.
He is literally fixing the system for the people in
Mos Espa.
Mos Espa. There we go. I keep mixing up Mos Eisley and Mos Espa.
Yeah. I'm actually really interested in seeing the war with the Pike Syndicate.
Yeah.
Because some people have been talking about the fact that Qi'ra from Solo may appear.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at this point, she should be the head of Crimson Dawn. Maul died in Star Wars Rebels, and the Pike Syndicate has been a part of the Shadow Collective / Crimson Dawn since the Clone Wars era, back when they helped Maul take over Mandalore. So, I think Qi'ra may show up.
Yeah. And that would be pretty interesting, but I think that definitely wraps up everything but episode 3. What with episode 1 and 2 to compare it to, what would you give it?
Episode 3 compared to episode 1, I would give it about a 6.5.
Really?
Not as good as episode 2.
I mean, episode 2
was phenomenal.
Episode 2 is the standout of this show because it was that good.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5. Like, it was good.
Yeah.
I just think the first 2 episodes were better.
Yeah.
But I did like seeing the British mods.
Yeah, honestly, I enjoyed it enough that I'm willing to give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, Now for episode 4, that one I would also give it a 6.5.
really.
Like, I really do think the first 2 episodes were better, but I don't think that these 2 episodes are bad. I like them. I just think that the first 2 episodes were better.
See, I'm willing to give episode 8 an 8 out of 10. Or
Episode 4?
episode 4 an 8 out of 10, sorry.
Really?
Because, see, here's the thing. I'm enjoying the flashback episodes so much more than the actual plot.
Oh, same. I definitely have been enjoying the
Because
flashback
episode 2 was purely flashback.
and it was so
and
good.
it was so good. And episode 1, the standouts were the flashbacks with wordless storytelling.
Yeah.
And episode 4, we get that again. We
Yeah.
get more flashbacks. This time with Boba Fett meeting Fennec Shand, getting her back up to form because of the fact that she had a gun, like a shot in her torso, making meaning that she was in needing of desperate medical help.
Yeah. The one thing I did like about this episode is it really does confirm that Din Djarin and Boba Fett have been really close to crossing paths already. We saw this back when he was negotiating with the Pikes, when he walked past those stormtrooper heads on Pikes. That is actually right as Jin is arriving in Mos Espa to talk to the lady with her droids, because you see her in the background of that scene. And now we see it again with the flare that's supposed to blind Fennec Shan's sniper shot back in season 1 of The Mandalorian. We see that Boba Fett had seen it, and he only gets there after she's been shot and dying, long after Jin has left.
Yeah.
So we see that those two have already been crossing paths, have already come so close to crossing paths, which will inevitably lead to when they do meet up in season 2.
Yeah, like the first element that reminded me of Mandalorian was that flare.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, so this is where this is going. Like that immediately popped in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm really interested in is that Boba basically hired Black Chrysanthemum, which I think is really good because the two of them in the comics were friends and they were working together a lot before Darth Vader started sending them on separate missions.
And also continues the idea that, yes, he is building his faction, he's gathering allies.
But specifically, former bounty hunters as well.
Yeah.
Not just like the Gamorrean guards who are loyal and the mods who he's giving like a job to, but he's also getting former bounty hunters because I think this line really is supposed to stand out. Aren't you tired of people like us dying for people that made boneheaded decisions that cost innocent lives?
And that is reflected also in the flashback scenes.
Yeah.
Because he constantly talks to Fennec Shand about how he wants to make his own path because he's tired of working for people that cause them to die.
Exactly, and I think it's because, really, the sail barge incident. Let's be honest here. This all could have been avoided if they just gave Han Solo over.
Yeah.
I mean, Boba was only really there because he was paid to do so, but he already got his bounty for, like, giving Han Solo over. Like, if they had given Han Solo back, Boba wouldn't have been, like, pissed or anything. He would have gotten his money.
Yeah. And then because Jabba did what he did in episode 6.
Yeah, episode 6.
Yeah, because of what he did, because he did what he did, he ended up in the Sarlacc pit, the most embarrassing moment in all of Star Wars.
Yeah. And so, I definitely think the Sarlacc pit really did scar him.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I do like how it is mentioned that Boba was with the Sand People for years. Presumably, he's been with them for about 5 or 6 years because that's when The Mandalorian Season 1 takes place.
Yeah.
And so, I do find that really interesting. And, who do you think is the muscle he's going to buy? Some people think Din Djarin's supposed to show up again.
You think so?
Some people are thinking. I don't know who is going to show up.
Do you think that he would really develop much after Season 1 of Mandalorian?
Season 2?
Or Season 2, yeah.
See, the thing is I don't think he would get Jin because Jin is about to partake in the Mandalorian Civil War.
Yeah.
Again, the however many Mandalorian Civil Wars we're at this point. Yeah. Now, this is something that I don't think will correspond with buying muscle. But do you think we will see Han Solo and Chewbacca again?
Because I would have to really give that some thought, because
At this point, Han, I believe, would still be working with the New Republic
you would still be with Leia.
because Kylo Ren would be.
Because I would assume that they would spend at least like 7 or 8 years still as a couple.
Remember, the thing that got them divorced was Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren massacring the Jedi Temple.
Right.
That's caused their divorce, which was when Kylo was a teenager.
Yeah.
And so I think they'd still be together and he would be part of the New Republic.
So that's why I'm hesitant to say no. Or hesitant to say yes, and why I'm more like putting my foot down on saying like no, he will not show up.
I think it is possible he may show up,
But
just because we have seen that the New Republic around this time period has been finding people and legitimizing whatever they have. Because we saw this with what they did with Cara Dune, where she was the sheriff of the area after they made her after she was just a criminal, an imperial criminal.
yeah,
Her and the other guy who was running the bounty hunter guild, they are now officiated by the New Republic. I could definitely see Han Solo coming to Tatooine and seeing Mos Espa and being like, okay, you control this place now, and he's like, yes, and whatever, whatever, whatever. Basically giving Boba stamp of approval, you rule here.
yeah. I guess.
I don't think it's supposed to be some big epic oh my god. I think it would be a scene similar to Luke Skywalker appearing, something at the tail end of the series.
See, that kind of is an epic moment though. That is a big moment.
What I mean by big epic moment is it's gonna be a big epic overarching thing. How when
Well, that's not typically what happens. Or the Marvel cameo is not something that typically happens in Star Wars.
Yeah, so so when I'm describing it, I mean he'll show up, but it won't be
what you're talking about is the difference between
a Tobey Maguire appearance.
Yeah, or more. I'm thinking about more the difference between Matt Murdock's appearance in No Way Home and the original Mandarin in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Those two cameos are completely different.
Yeah.
Because we got one that lasts 20 seconds, and then we've got another one that lasts half of the runtime.
Yeah. So, I think how he's going to appear is he's going to appear at the very end. He's going to be like, you work here now? And he's like, yeah. You work there now? And he's like, yeah.
So I see where you're differentiating between the two different types of cameos. And the first, or the type that I described with Shang-Chi, has never been really a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Because that's a heavily MCU thing. Whereas, the little 20-second cameo that we get with Matt Murdock, that is more aligned with what Star Wars would do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of I think it would also bring just the slight closure to the whole Boba Han rivalry.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, and it would be really interesting to see
because whenever Star Wars does cameos, it's just oh, you exist in this world. It's not oh, you're here and now you're a big part of the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see where you're getting at now.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see Boba and Han walk up. No, Han and Chewie walk up, and then we have Boba and fucking Black Chrysanthemum show up. That would be really interesting. Just a little foil to each other to show we're both these two scoundrels that did many questionable things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Final thoughts about the two episodes?
I think they're pretty good. I'm excited for the rest of the series. And I'd rate them both 6.5 out of 10. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah. See, I would rate them a little higher, mostly because the entirety of the show is mostly better than what the MCU has provided. But I wouldn't really say they were that average, honestly. I mean, maybe episode 3 was a little more on the average side, but episode 4 was still pretty good in my book.
Yeah. I also did like how he's now fully healed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, which